Hello everyone and welcome back to Versus, the show that is always in the spirit of giving. Hosted by me, a guy who's always got a hankering for cookies and milk, and today it's a cavalcade of Christmas carnage as we pit loads of beloved Christmas movies against one another and let them duke it out for holiday season supremacy. We love, actually, all of these A Christmas stories, but which Carol will die hardest and enjoy a wonderful life? Probably not the one that took too long to get their no-good keister off my property.
I'm gonna give you to the count of 10 to get your ugly, yellow, no-good keister off my property.
I'd compare today's show to a carnival because it'll be fun and bright and exciting. You don't have to buy a ticket, and no one's gonna Ralph on the tilt-a-whirl. But like any good state fair, we couldn't possibly include every popular ride, or in this case, Christmas film that's ever existed, because I don't have a hard-working army of elves catering to my every whim. Santa, he works, one night out of 365? But we have been delivering quality episodes of Versus all year round. So now let's take a look at some, not all of the contenders for the best Christmas movie of them all. It's a Wonderful Life, Love Actually, A Christmas Story, Tangerine, Home Alone, Elf, Trading Places, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, A Muppet Christmas Carol, and oh, what's the one movie with the guy and he's in a building? Die Hard, that's right. Ooh, how about Die Hard 2? It takes place the next Christmas, right? On the East Coast? I'm being told we shouldn't, but I'm counting it anyway. Here's how we'll determine a winner. Round 1, box office. Round 2, Tomatometer / audience score. Round 3, iconic moments. Round 4, angels we have heard on high. And then we'll do a wild card round that could feature anything from Grinches to Scrooges to Santas, bad, good, or otherwise, but really any movie that you put on around this time of year could be considered a Christmas movie. Little Women, The Apartment, Gremlins, I'm being told in my ear those are actual Christmas movies, so you can put on a Godzilla movie and make it festive. It's gonna be a full house here on Versus, with Santa's sack stuffed full of syrupy cinematic sweetness. You know, now that I think about it, Gremlins could take this whole thing if the rest of y'all aren't careful, so let's remember the rules. Don't feed the host after midnight. And this is a competition, but it's all for fun. Every movie featured today is already on St. Nick's good list, and he checked it twice before he was offed by Tim Allen.
Hey, you!
You killed him.
Did not.
And if you find yourself getting in your feelings about a movie that you feel is unjustly ignored, relax the way I do. You take off your shoes and socks, and you make fists with your toes.
Fists with your toes.
I know, it sounds crazy. Trust me, I've been doing it for 9 years.
Let's get it on. Round 1, box office. Judging from all the vids like this that we tend to do around Christmas, it's pretty evident that these movies are really popular with the masses. So much so that the actual holiday movie season is kind of all year long. Lethal Weapon and Die Hard, both Christmas movies, and were released before the summer movie season even got into full swing. So let's see whose box office nose lights up the reddest, and that metaphor is getting away from me. Hey, Prancer, that was a movie, right? It's an underrated reindeer, that Prancer. Keep your eye on it. We did adjust for inflation to keep things fair for all the movies over the many decades, but it does seem like the 80s and 90s were the sweet spot for dominating the multiplex with presents. Even A Christmas Story, which by all accounts was the little cult classic that could, forged its way into an annual 24-hour marathon on the Ted Turner cable channel of your choice. It did okay in theaters, too. 53 million smackers way back in 1983. All right, so now we have a bar. It's been set. And now it's been passed by Kermit, Gonzo, Piggy, and a very grumpy Michael Caine. The Muppet Christmas Carol took in $60 million in 1992, $8 of which was from this guy. I can't remember if Tiny Mark made it into a movie house in 1989 for Christmas Vacation, but a bunch of you did. $155 million for Team Griswold, and that's going to be a tough number to beat. Barefoot John McClane just did it. Die Hard made $181 million in 1988, and both Die Hard 2 and Elf soared past $200 million each, and I really just wanted to include those two movies in the same sentence. Hey, they both end with Crazy Flights of Fancy.
We're toast!
Trading Places was a smash hit in 1983, cementing SNL star Eddie Murphy as a legit box office attraction decades before we'd actually be saying SNL instead of Saturday Night Live. You know, it's kind of unfair to call Murphy just an SNL star. That dude put an entire show on his back, and in my opinion, he's the greatest cast member in program history. And even just in terms of Christmas movies, actors who rocketed to fame thanks to SNL have done very well this time of year. Eddie's got Trading Places, Chevy has Christmas Vacation, Farrell has Elf, and Bill Murray has Scrooged, which humbugged over $100 million for itself. Oh, and Dana Carvey and John Lovitz were both in Trapped in Paradise, which did $6 million total. But it still took place on Christmas Eve, so it's a Christmas movie. Big movies come out around Christmas, we all know this, including two of the hugest movies ever, Avatar in 2009 and Star Wars The Force Awakens in 2015. Those two movies team up for a box office total of approximately $1 kajillion. And I have a funny feeling we're going to see one of those franchises back in theaters sooner rather than later. Even, actually, maybe right now. But if we're looking at a film that crushed during the holiday season and fills us with the Christmas spirit, we're heading back to 1990. And if you're time traveling as a family, please remember to make sure all members are accounted for before the journey begins.
What else could we be forgetting?
Kevin!
Home Alone was an absolute monster at the dawn of the new decade, decorating the bank with 622 million reasons to be joyful. So it looks like Home Alone is going to take the first point of the day. Wait a minute, good God, that's Jimmy Stewart's music. It's a Wonderful Life has entered the chat, and we adjust for inflation and account for a film released way back when there was far less competition in theaters. But actually, It's a Wonderful Life didn't even recoup its budget back in 1946. It made like $3 million, which is gonna buy some angel wings, but in round one, the point goes to Kevin McAllister and his truly terrible parents. Have a celebratory Pepsi, Fuller. Your movie is in pole position.
Mom? Dad? Where are you guys?
Round two, Tomatometer / audience score. Well, Clarence, I have a funny feeling that a certain 1940s holiday classic is gonna fare a wee bit better this time around. After all, critics have hearts too, and this stage will be won by which film warmed them the most, and the verified audiences as well. Even the grinchiest of moviegoers can have their heart size increased by that feel-good flick that gets you right in the tear ducts. As a matter of fact, how about we kick things off with the Grinch in this round? Well, it's gonna set a standard anyway. Neither Jim Carrey's nor Benedict Cumberbatch's Grinch outings made it to fresh on the Tomatometer. And I've also been informed that neither nor are actual words. My bad, we'll clean up the grammar next season if we get picked up. I do live on 34th Street, where miracles happen and bars get set higher. The 1947 telling of that vintage fable is certified fresh at 96%. Damn! I see you, Kris Kringle. Can anything else in my sleigh compete with that? Both Christmas stories can. That would be A Christmas Story and Rare Exports A Christmas Tale, sharing time at 90% each. Also repping the 90s is Die Hard at 94% and It's a Wonderful Life at 93%. I'm telling you, there's a whole generation of folks that are going to be ticked off if It's a Wonderful Life doesn't win something today. Going to get a lot of angry tweets or at least angry letters. And That Wonderful Life does have another present waiting under its tree, an audience score that is 95%. Die Hard can also brag about being in the 90s on both metrics, matching its Tomatometer with a 94%. That's enough to even get Hans Gruber into the holiday spirit.
Now I have a machine gun. Ho, ho, ho.
So it appears we have a battle between Nakatomi Plaza and a bridge for a point in round two, but we ain't done yet. Tangerine, A Wonderful Tale that was released in 2015, is 96% on the TM. Claus is 95%, as is The Nightmare Before Christmas and Little Women. That'd be the 2019 version, which crushes the 94 version, which is way down at, it's still a great 93%. But as we saw with the Whoville gang, the Tomatometer doesn't always warm the soul. Sometimes it roasts the movie like a chestnut on an open fire. Love Actually is fresh, barely, at 64%. Home Alone is at 67%, and Christmas Vacation is at a Bill and Ted approved 69, dude. Even the Muppets, who everyone loves, and Michael Caine, who we all adore, could only muster 75%. All right, two more fun ones. Bad Santa is at 78%, which I think is a win, and Batman Returns, which is definitely a Christmas movie, is at 81%, the highest of either Michael Keaton's outings as the Caped Crusader. All right, so let's do one more sweep of the audience. Show of hands. The Scissor Guy, Edward Scissorhands is at 91%. The Apartment's at 93%. And A Christmas Story makes for a viable contender here with 88% to couple with its 90% in the tomato patch. But as happens this time of year, we're hard at work in Santa's shop on valuable research all the time, and It's a Wonderful Life is now being threatened with another Jimmy Stewart flick. He was billed as James Stewart alongside Margaret Sullivan for 1940's The Shop Around the Corner. It's a Christmas movie about two store workers who are constantly at odds with each other, but they're smitten with their respective pen pals, and lo and behold, the pen pals turn out to be each other. It's like You've Got Mail if America wasn't online. The Shop Around the Corner is by my count the highest rated Christmas movie on the Tomatometer at 99%, and its audience score is 91%. All right, so that's worthy of being on the scoreboard, but Tangerine, it's 96%, and It's a Wonderful Life is right there. All three get points. What the hell, it's Christmas. I can afford all these points because Clark Griswold and I are both expecting big Christmas bonuses, right? Huh? I'm getting an IBC bath towel, aren't I?
Sammy Goldberg,
Bath towel.
Lou Parker,
Send him a VHS home video recorder.
Colonel Tom Parker.
The bath towel.
Round 3, iconic moments. So Tangerine, Home Alone, and the Jimmy Stewart collection each have a point so far, but now the playing field is wide open because this round is all about the scenes, sequences, and scintillating cinematic seconds that elevate a film from like to love and from, oh yeah, I think I remember seeing that too. Of course I've seen that. What am I, an animal? Every flick has a shot here, and just because a moment is iconic doesn't mean it can't also be cringeworthy. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Andrew Lincoln. How did you think that scene was gonna play out? You make a bunch of poster board proclaiming your love for your best friend's sweetheart after filming their wedding in the most creepy way imaginable? Come on, man. You know what? The penalty for macking on your BFF's girl at Christmas should be suffering through a dystopian future chock full of Walking Dead people. So I'd say justice has been served. And it is a widely recalled moment from a movie full of them. It's a credit to Love Actually that the scene in question plays as well as it does. I also love Hugh Grant falling for a member of his staff, as much as it pains the HR department, and Rowan Atkinson is the uppity store clerk, Bill Nighy is a rock star, Emma Thompson weeping, then putting on a brave face. Love Actually does have plenty of ammo. Oh, and it's also got Alan Rickman. But if we're talking about Sir Rickman, I might have another Christmas movie that could be even more iconic. Welcome to the party, pal, indeed.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Die Hard is widely considered the GOAT in the realm of action movies because the whole damn thing is quotable start to finish. You get Argyle the limo driver giving way to Holly Gennaro, to Hans Gruber, to Sergeant Al Powell, to Alexander Goodenoug's Carl, to Bill Clay, and all the while a shoeless John McClane is doing memorable things like sneaking around air ducts, leaping across elevator shafts, and jumping off exploding rooftops. Fun fact that never gets old. So director John McTiernan forgot to tell Alan Rickman that he was suddenly going to drop him some distance in that climactic sequence. So the look of surprise you see on Hans Gruber's face when he's dangled on the side of the building, that's 100% genuine. As for the Rolex that Ellis gives Holly, probably a knockoff. But Johnny Boy ain't the only protagonist capable of dispensing some ne'er-do-wells. Kevin McAllister executed an ambitious battle plan to a T. The wet bandits are creeping around the suburbs of Chicago, but Kev is ready. Whether it's a fake Christmas party, or a few angels with filthy souls to keep the baddies at bay, or, a full-on assault stacked with icy steps, scalding hot doorknobs, and well-timed paint cans, Macaulay Culkin, he was undefeated on his home turf.
There he is!
But Home Alone can also hit you in the feels, like a Love Actually or It's a Wonderful Life. When Kevin's family finally gets back to him on Christmas morning, that's approaching George Bailey and family level feels. Christmas Vacation has something in there for every family member, from dad's struggle with the lights to mom's struggle with dad, and the kids' struggle with their entire extended nuclear bomb of a flock. But Cousin Eddie is always welcome at my place, and it's a wonderful addition to the film when Clark gets a brief respite from debauchery to enjoy some childhood cheer in the attic. Trading Places and Elf are packed with big laughs and a nice message, as is Tangerine, and even The Night Before. But every year, it seems, A Christmas Story just hits different. Ralphie in the bunny suit, the Scott Farkas affair, his insatiable desire for a very specific BB gun, come on! And over a decade before, another kinda Christmas movie, Dumb and Dumber, had a hoot with a tongue stuck on a frosty pole. A Christmas Story made us feel it way back in 1983, and every year since. As I wrote this piece, yeah, I write them too. Be honest. Raise your hand if you thought I could even read. I took a break to walk my little reindeer, Molly the Wonder Dog, around the neighborhood, and we saw not one, not two, but multiple windows adorned with a very familiar leg lamp. Yes, that one.
Don't bother me now, sweet. Can't see I'm busy. Yeah, but what is that? It's a major award.
A Christmas Story has been ingrained in our hearts and minds thanks to a loyal following that grows stronger every year. It may not be quite as sweet as It's a Wonderful Life or as iconic a tale as A Christmas Carol, but maybe that's what makes it stand apart. It makes us feel like we're Clark Griswold in the attic, reliving our own childhood memories. And for that, it wins round 3 and gets on the scoreboard. It's Home Alone 1, A Christmas Story 1, Tangerine 1, and Jimmy Stewart 2, but really just 1.
What is it?
I can't put my arms out.
Round 4, Angels We Have Heard on High. Regardless of whether we acknowledge it or not, music is a crucial piece of the puzzle in every motion picture with sound in history. Even before the talkies could talk, they had a jangly tune to keep us invested. And when it comes to Christmas stories, the soundtracks and score ratchet their game up to accentuate a laugh, tug on a heartstring, or celebrate a fresh crop of dead terrorists. Imagine Die Hard without Vaughn Monroe's Let It Snow at the end, or Love Actually without that kid on the drums, and what would Home Alone be without the na 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 na? Yes, those tender notes strike a chord that make a good movie great and turn a memorable Christmas tale into an unforgettable one.
I'm here with my dad, and we never met, and he wants me to sing him a song.
I'll kick off the proceedings with everyone's favorite talking mutant animals, the Muppets. The Feels Like Christmas tune finally starts to thaw the icy heart of Ebenezer Scrooge and everyone watching at home. Jingle bells are a staple at this time of year, as in Jingle All the Way, or they can accentuate a sequence in Trading Places and even hit home with The Christmas Story. There's even a classic movie called White Christmas, and guess what ballad you'll find in that one, although that was actually originally from Holiday Inn. Tangerine had to finagle a hummable tune when the limited budget prohibited a more well-known Christmas rendition, so Toyland it was from Babes in Toyland. It's a Wonderful Life etched Hark the Herald Angels Sing into our holiday fabric even more. And of course, it's not a vacation movie until we get a music-packed opening credits sequence bonanza. But for me, this comes down to a trio of movies that may not seem linked on the surface. A family classic like Home Alone, a rom-com like Love Actually, and the action icon Die Hard. Die Hard might feature as wide a swath as any Christmas movie ever when it comes to genre. Early in the film, we get an ominous score that leads into Run DMC's Christmas in Hollis, but there's also a recurring holiday feel in the theme, and then of course, cue Vaughn for the big closing number. Home Alone can go up-tempo with Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree or Run Run Rudolph, but can also go slow and sappy with a local kids choir sounding like frickin' angels. And that scene in the church right before the wet bandits are ambushed shows us that even the weird old guy living next door might be a good egg after all. Love Actually is practically bookended by music that isn't just adding on to a scene, it's the focal point of the action. We meet Bill Nighy's aging rock legend Billy Mack just as he's crooning out another take of Christmas is All Around, and the familiar song makes us feel it in our fingers and our toes. It's a funny, oddly endearing way to get us into this film, and then we have that climactic number. Hey kids, you want a cute gal to notice you? Pick up an instrument, or better yet, sit down behind a kit and start Keith Mooning your way into some fetching young lass's heart. Let me try to recap the scene as efficiently as possible. Sammy is the stepson of Daniel, played by Liam Neeson. As they navigate through tragedy, Sammy decides to learn the drums to get the attention of a classmate he's smitten with named Joanna, who he then sneaks through airport security to get a smooch before she flies back to America. Oh, what a movie. Olivia Olson, who plays Joanna, apparently sung All I Want for Christmas so well that director Richard Curtis had to coach her down to make it more believable for a 10-year-old. It's a good story, and regardless of how you feel about the mishmash plot, the musical numbers make you feel warm and cozy at the season of giving. Love Actually, there's some creepiness to you, but it's on the board, and it all comes down to this. The wild card round, Ghost of Christmas Present. This round begins with a simple question to all of you. What's your favorite Christmas movie? Could be anything, but here we're searching for that movie that gives you the most holiday bang for your buck. And by the way, the movie called The Holiday ain't too shabby of a leadoff hitter. It's got comedy, romance, movie trailers, a little bit of heartache, and it all ends up okay by New Year's Eve. Love Actually has that too, but in a much more haphazard style than the smoother two-protagonist journey of The Holiday. Tangerine similarly can be funny and sweet, as can The Night Before, and sure, even Office Christmas Party. If we're looking at kid-friendly fare the adults can also enjoy, though, I'd say Gremlins, but that 1984 release inadvertently teamed up with Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom to bring the PG-13 rating into existence. Apparently ripping hearts out of chests and microwaving little green goblins was too much for Tykes 12 and under, but I have a feeling we all saw those movies before we were officially teenagers anyway. Decades before, It's a Wonderful Life, White Christmas, and Holiday Inn all made an impact, even if it took George Bailey's film years and even a generation before earning its rightful place amongst the Christmas classics. As the title of this round implies, A Christmas Carol is always in contention, so what's the best iteration? My family tends to go the dramatic route with the George C. Scott version, but we also dabble with the comedic hijinks of Scrooged, and you can't ever go wrong with the Muppets and Michael Caine. But shout out also to Alistair Sim and Albert Finney. The fun shifts into another gear when it's a family movie that pushes the envelope for what the kids can get away with. Enter A Christmas Story, which sees Ralphie getting in fights and yearning for a Red Ryder BB gun. Or Home Alone, where we get to see Kevin McAllister live out every kid's dream. We do want to be left home alone, we think, and jumping on the bed and ordering a bunch of pizza from Little Nero's is exactly what any of us would have done at age 8. Or now. I'm probably going to do that this weekend. That movie was such a milestone that kids went from making forts in the woods to booby-trapping their own houses. Yeah, we did so to ward off criminals, and maybe we forgot to warn the adults that actually lived there in the process. But then we arrive at the chimney of Die Hard. It seems the debate has died down over whether it's a Christmas movie or not, either from fatigue or because it's so overwhelmingly obvious that it's not just a Christmas movie, it's the Christmas movie. We even get a little Santa reference in there, and because this Claus is really a dead terrorist, that makes more milk and cookies for the rest of us. Gremlins is about as far down the horror genre as I care to go this time of year, and for everything else, we have Die Hard. John McClane gives us plenty of lighthearted moments thanks to his one-liners. The action is among the best ever to be put on celluloid, and if you like an estranged couple getting back together just in time for the holidays, Die Hard has that too. Plus, the sequel has John frickin' Amos and Fred effing Thompson, so the Christmas just keeps getting more miraculous. With apologies to the Griswolds and the McAllisters and the Muppets, I'm going with Die Hard as the ultimate Christmas film. Don't believe me? Just ask my advent calendar, which is Nakatomi Plaza. I get to eat a chocolate out of each 4 until I get all the way up to the 30s. Yippee-ki-yay indeed.
Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Yippee-ki-yay.
So Die Hard wins the wild card round, meaning Love Actually, Home Alone, Tangerine, the Jimmy Stewart 1940s era, and John McClane's greatest hits are all tied up. So how do I determine one giant winner of the show today? Well, let's see. Jimmy Stewart has both The Shop Around the Corner and It's a Wonderful Life, so that's enough presents under his tree. Tangerine is a small film that got a good run today, so more eyeballs will be on it. Merry Christmas. Home Alone is basically the kid version of Die Hard. By the way, who wins in a fight between Kevin and John? Anybody want to bet? And I think that leaves us with A Christmas Story. It feels the most like a real family. The kids can be mischievous like in Home Alone, the adults have real problems like in Die Hard, and the story feels much more relatable than the most fantastical flights of holiday whimsy, and we might learn a little something about the real meaning of Christmas in the process. But Home Alone has John Candy, and Home Alone 2 has Tim Curry. You know what, it's too late. A Christmas Story is the winner of today's Christmas cavalcade. Unless we're also counting Christmas specials, in which case Garfield's Christmas is the clear victor. Dad would chop down the tree. Anybody? No?
Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas!
Well, that's going to put a bow on this episode of Versus. But if any of you out there think I just went with my favorite childhood holiday movie, you'd be wrong. I never even saw A Christmas Story until after I'd moved to LA, and I met Peter Billingsley as an adult at the Comedy Store. I was late to the party, but the shindig gets stronger every year. So hit me up on social media at Mark Ellis Live with your favorite Christmas suggestions, and keep it right here at Rotten Tomatoes for all the latest and greatest in the world of wonderful wintry entertainment. Thanks for watching Versus. I'm Mark Ellis, this is Godzilla, and the quarterback is toast.